like a peach. I look like a full-on peach. Are you ready to make more money on Instagram for your business? If so, you are in just the right place. I just wrapped up my Q1 launch for my own business, and I want to do a full recap on exactly what worked for me and what type of content I like to include in my launch calendar. I'm talking about a full in-depth breakdown of the stories I did, feed posts using post reminders, live streams, and everything in between for every stage of my launch. So let's dive right on in. If this is our first time meeting, I'm an Instagram strategist and I help business owners leverage Instagram with confidence. And I just launched my brand new program, the Instagram Confidence Accelerator, which you can learn more about in the description. And that's what I'm going to be recapping with you today. So I'm going to be talking specifically about a live launch, which is having a very clear open and closed cart period with a lot of promotion throughout that period. But you can apply all of these techniques to any type of campaign, sale, or promotion that you're wanting to run, no matter what you're selling on Instagram. So really just use this for inspiration. And even if maybe you don't have a team, you don't have a lot of support, or this is your first time even promoting your offers on Instagram, you can definitely grow and scale from there. I always like to share that my first launch, I made $0, and now I've been able to make multiple 5 figures on my launches and build my multiple 6-figure business. So it's definitely a process, and learn, experiment throughout it. So let's get right into the content that I created. I'm gonna be doing this deep dive based on the 3 different launch phases that I was in. I was in the waitlist phase, then I was in webinar promotion, which was my lead magnet, and then I was going right on into open and close cart, which was the launch. Outside of Instagram, I kept my launch really simple. I love using Instagram and email together. I find that they're the perfect duo in that they both account for a lot of my sales during my launches. I wasn't using ads. I wasn't using any other type of social media except my podcast here and there. Okay, phase 1 is waitlist. This is where you are nurturing your audience, really building that trust with them for when you are going to start to promote your offer, that they know they can trust you, they know you're the expert to solve their problem, and you're wanting to already get through a lot of the objections they might have based on purchasing your offer. Since this is a completely new program, I was sharing behind the scenes my entire process of creating it, all the investments I made, and just my excitement around creating something new. And so even though I launched in February, I was talking about this new offer in November. So you want to make sure you are starting early in terms of just bringing awareness to your offer. If I had any lesson that I wanted to share with you for this launch specifically that I learned just from analyzing it after the fact, which I highly recommend, is that I almost didn't do enough brand and offer awareness. While I was sharing a lot of behind the scenes and people were familiar with what I was launching, they really didn't know all the details, when it was going to be running, when it was going to be launching, until it kind of was too late for a lot of people that maybe said they already had other investments. I know this because we did a survey email afterwards. So this was definitely one of my biggest lessons that I learned during my launch. So start early, like literally right now. So I really focused this content on my stories and really just sharing behind the scenes of the process, also breaking down a lot of really helpful information that I teach in my program. So using that offer as a source of really valuable content on my stories, and also using that link sticker to specifically build the waitlist because I was using email and Instagram together. And I also did launch a close friends list, which definitely warmed up my stories audience. I gave them even more behind the scenes of my process. And I definitely had a few people from my close friends list actually convert into program members. So if you want to see like a full in-depth video on close friends, I'm still kind of playing around with it. But essentially what it is it's exclusive stories content that only a certain list of your followers will actually see. So it really made them feel really special and extra nurtured. Okay, so now onto the next stage, which is kind of when we're starting to get into the promo, which was my webinar. This was my lead magnet. So what I like to do during my launches is have some type of warm-up, either event, a free resource, to essentially show people what it's like to learn from me in that capacity and get them really excited and essentially open doors to that offer live on that webinar. I've also done this with challenges, other types of events, so you can really apply this to your own industry. But I do think it's really helpful to do something free that really ramps up the energy for your launch. It even could be an Instagram live series or something you're doing right within the Instagram app. So this was one of the parts of my launch that we knocked out of the water. My goal was to have 500 registrants and we had almost 1,000. So we doubled our goal, and I used Instagram for promoting this a lot. So I really broke down what the webinar was about, and I used the main framework that I was teaching in the webinar to create a lot of really engaging reels, which really help people sign up to that webinar. I also post almost daily reminding people to join, to save their spot, because it was free, and I was sharing it via the link sticker, and then I also had the link in my bio. A little pro tip that I want to remind you during launches: you want to make sure that your profile is being updated. This means that last line in your bio, you want to make sure it has a call to action for whatever you're specifically promoting during that launch. And you also want to make sure you're saving highlights for either the offer that you're promoting, your lead magnet, or probably both. This makes it really easy for people who missed content or they want to go back and lurk and kind of get their questions answered. They can easily go find it versus wondering what the heck is going on, where's the links, where's the stories where she talked about this. So definitely be sure to do this during your entire launch. This is when I started to leverage the reminders feature on feed posts. So this kind of started with scheduled lives where you could choose a time, a date for a live, choose the title, and you could easily promote it on your feed posts. But now you can actually add reminders for just about anything. So I did one for my webinar event specifically, and then I also did another later on in my launch where I was showing when the cart was actually closing and when the cart opened as well. So I definitely recommend doing this if you're having any sales, any type of timely element in your launch. Make a reminder for it. People can essentially tap it and be reminded when that time is about to expire. So it kind of just helps you make sure you're nudging your audience in the right direction if maybe they are last minute Lucy's and Lukes. Along with those feed reminders, I also did weekly lives during this webinar promotion period and also through my launch. I personally find that lives are one of the best places to convert people because they can ask questions, they can really get a feel for your energy, which is so important during a launch. And I find that especially when you're doing an event or an educational element, or you're just an educator yourself, that it is the perfect opportunity to essentially show people what they're signing up for. You can also absolutely do this for product brands. Maybe it's showing behind the scenes, talking about what's coming, interviewing people that you're collaborating with, or demonstrating that new product. Going back to how I chose the Reels topics I was creating, I did the exact same thing with lives. What were the objections? What were the topics that people wanted to know about that might hold them back from joining the webinar or from converting and joining my program? Okay, and then we are moving on to the last stage of my launch, which was the open and close cart period. On the back end via email, I was doing a pre-sale and I also was giving early access to my waitlist, but this kind of was fueled by my Instagram content I was creating in phase 1. So I was able to build up my waitlist and have people enroll before doors even opened publicly for everyone else and before I even did my webinar. So then after I did my webinar, I then moved on to my full promotional content. I highly recommend, if you're doing this live launch model, to really stick to at least 7 days. 2 weeks is definitely the maximum because you don't want this to be too long, but also you want to make sure people have enough time to join, but they also have that little bit of a push that there is a timeliness factor involved. So now we're going to break down the feed content and the stories content that I created during my entire launch. My tip here for planning out launch content is use things that you're already creating for your launch. Maybe it's emails, maybe it's your offer itself, or it's a sales page. But I really use the best parts of those elements to then inspire my Instagram content. Not only does this create consistency, which really helps with sales conversions, but it also just saved me a ton of time. So I wasn't reinventing the wheel and I really was being consistent with my messaging. Okay, so let's dive right into my Instagram content. The first reel is actually like a really fun announcement reel of doors being open with my fiance and operations manager. I always like to have my first 2 pieces of content during a launch, just breaking down what is the offer, what is launching, what is the deadline, what is all the details that people need to know. You would be surprised at how much content you create during a launch and people still maybe haven't seen it or don't know the details. So you gotta be consistent with those facts. Then I created a reel where I broke down my entire process that I essentially teach in the program in a bite-sized reel. My goal here was to kind of give them a taste of what those next steps are, but not give them everything entirely and kind of make it a smidgen overwhelming of like, wow, this is a lot. I need help doing this. I also shared a lot of like social proof and interesting things behind the launch to show how much time, energy, and work went into it. Because it's a new program, I didn't have exact testimonials from that program. So I really used my team and their experience with creating every element, along with just sharing the process over the months, literally 6 months that it took to create it, to really show the effort that went into it. And that definitely performed well. And that was also one of the emails that converted well. So I turned it into a feed post. I also did a few reels that really built on what are those objections or struggles that people might have that's holding them back from seeing results or from joining the offer. So the first one was playing into one of the biggest struggles people have is like not knowing what to post. And so I gave my program as a solution. And then I also did kind of a little sassy reel where I was showing essentially the transformation that you have during the program of like not really showing up to then being really confident in your Instagram strategy. Now onto stories. I did a lot of native stories for this launch versus creating a lot of curated graphics. While I do think it's helpful to have a few graphics handy for like the main parts of your launch, I personally find that having stories that look and feel like your regular stories flow, that look like they belong in Instagram stories, is gonna be the best way to go. So people aren't kind of jumping off stories like, what the heck, I'm being sold to. So really the first few days of my launch, I am breaking down why I created the program, why I'm qualified to be their educator and coach throughout the program, and what are all the details they need to know, how long it is, when it starts, what the structure is, and who it's for. I also broke down this content into the 3 goals that they would achieve to make it really clear and not overwhelming on what problems it's easily solving by them joining. I think that's a common mistake that people can make is just doing a laundry list of all the results they're gonna possibly get through your program. But instead, let's keep it as simple as possible so people know, okay, this is the 3 things we're focusing on, and it's a little bit easier for them to absorb and then convert from. I also do a lot of breakdowns on the structure of the program, what's included, and any frequently asked questions that they might have, and using tons of link stickers to make sure people know where to go to get all the details and to actually join. I also use the green screen filter a few times on stories to show inside the breakdown of my weekly program. And then I also used it to show inside Kajabi, which is where we were hosting the program. People love to be a little bit nosy and see exactly what they're getting versus you just talking about it. So I feel like this went really well on my stories content specifically. I also really leveraged the question sticker. This is perfect for really gathering what are those frequently asked questions that maybe people are a little bit nervous to slide in the DMs about, to really start that conversation and get any of those FAQs out of the way so they can join, convert, and result in a sale. As you can see with these really basic text slide stories, I'm really just using the pen tool, I'm using text, and I'm making it really clear who the program is for and who it is not for, which is also something that's on my sales page, so it didn't take me too long to create. I also did a lot of fun social proof stories with my team of having my co-coach take over my stories, and then also having my team share their favorite parts. But this would definitely be something I would do with my actual students or program members once I actually have people going through it. So take your customers, take your clients, and use their stories, their case studies, their results, their reviews for social proof. People love to see the type of person that was getting results from their program and most likely identify with where they were before they joined. I also featured some of the members that actually joined the program so people could see who they would be spending the 10 weeks with. Every launch is different, so I really like to look at all the data, all those numbers, and really analyze the launch, which we just literally did together, to see what worked, what do I want to repeat, what do I want to tweak the next time, and maybe what didn't work so well this time. For example, when I launched my other program, the Instagram Authority Mastermind, I literally only posted 3 times on the feed, 0 emails, and posted a few times on stories, and completely sold out that high ticket mastermind. So it really shows that depending on who you're selling to and what you're selling, your launch can and will look completely different. So hopefully this inspired you on a starting point of where to start experimenting and testing for your own launch, campaigns, and promotions. Definitely let me know if you'd like to see another video like this, or if you really need help with like the planning side of the launch, how to batch create content, how to prep for your launch so you are not burnt out while you are launching. And I know I've been talking a lot about my Instagram Confidence Accelerator program, and do you want a sneak peek inside what I teach? I actually share my 3-part repurposing method, and you can get that lesson for free, and it's linked in the description. I will see you in my next video. Happy launching! Nailed it! Nailed it!